Hi, thanks for tuning in. I am Cecilia Manella, and I hop on here every single week to share some ideas around how to increase mental health wellness in your life. So we're coming into Pride Month and we're talking all things Pride, and I just wanted to share some ideas on what it actually means to be an ally, and that how allyship needs to happen every single day and not just a week or a day a year or a month a year. That it has to be a practice that we do all the time. And sometimes this is a real struggle for us. And people have a lot of questions on how to do that, how to be an ally, what does that actually mean for them, and how can you do this every single day? And I'll just share, from my perspective, what you can do every single day to be a better ally. So I identify as a heterosexual woman, and I've had to do a lot of unlearning. And I did that 20 years ago when I was going to school, and really came to terms with how entrenched some of these ideas are. And often when we're being challenged about our own ideas or our thoughts about the world, we get really defensive. So the first thing you can do about being an ally is just being open to being questioned, and also questioning your own thoughts, questioning your own beliefs and your assumptions and things you believe to be true. That is really step number one, is really being open to this idea of questioning and being curious, and not in a defensive way, but in a way of being super open. And the one place to start is to really look at a term we call heteronormative. So what that means is that everything that's heterosexual we see as normal. And that's what we compare everything to. So things that are heteronormative are things like there's only two genders, that you will automatically be attracted to someone of the opposite gender, that you're going to get married, that you're going to have kids. So all the things we assume to be true or as the right way, is those things are couched in heteronormative. So anything that's heterosexual is what we see as normal. Anything that's non-heterosexual we see as abnormal, or something that's really different. And the best way to be an ally is to really challenge these heteronormative assumptions that you carry. Now, we all carry them. And there's nothing to be ashamed of, because this is the culture we grow up in. This is what our families have taught us. This is what schools have taught us. This is what the world around us has taught us up until this point. We haven't had the language or the ability to learn really early on that things are a little bit different, and perhaps that we don't need to see people as who are non-heterosexual, who don't fall into this category, as abnormal. And being an ally means that we don't see people as abnormal. We see everyone as a human being with different experiences on this planet, and there's space for everybody. And challenging our own heteronormative assumptions and looking at them and working to change them is how you become an ally every single day. What does this look like in practice? What it looks like in practice is we stop asking, do you have a boyfriend? Do you have a girlfriend? We stop assuming that someone is going to date someone of an opposite gender to themselves. So a more allied comment might be, are you dating? Who are you seeing these days? It's one example. Another example is we often assume people are going to have children, and we ask questions. Are you going to get married? Are you going to have children? We don't ask those questions because we're assuming that that's what's going to happen. And so we can ask questions around, what are your next plans, and what are your goals? If we're asking someone who is in a couple, what are your next steps in your relationship, instead of assuming what those next steps are actually going to be. We don't assume that everyone is straight. That is the place to start too, is we need to walk around the world and not assume that everyone is straight, that we can see the world through a different lens, and that it doesn't really matter. And if we see everyone as humans and having their own experiences, and not assuming heterosexuality, if we're not assuming that, we actually sit in a place of being much more curious, and we're much more open to experiencing a connection with somebody, or a relationship with somebody, or an interaction with somebody that isn't grounded in assuming heterosexuality as the norm. So I encourage you to take a look at some of these things that you assume to be true for yourself and assume to be true for the world, and ask yourself, where does that come from? And is that grounded in this assumption of heterosexuality being the normal or the most preferred way of being and everything else being different? And when you can challenge some of those things and challenge the way that you speak from a place of openness and love for yourself, and knowing that this isn't about shame, this isn't about anyone's fault, this is about moving forward. It's knowing where you are in order to move forward to a different place, so that you can be an ally every single day to the people in your life, and the people in your community, and the people around you. I hope you found this helpful, and I'll see you next week.